somebody hates numbers, then probably accounting franchise is not for you, even though you don't have to do it, but people gonna feel it when you try to explain what you do.
Now, if you were doing tax preparation as well, conflicting with what they do, they would be more hesitant to send you business in fear of losing their tax preparation clients, correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why we are not.
Max Emma is the CEO of Bookkeeping Corp and Bookkeeping Franchise. He's passionate about transforming the bookkeeping industry through innovation and franchising. In 2019, he introduced a low-cost, home-based franchise model with a mission to expand bookkeeping to all 50 states by 2025.
There is no franchise that you absolutely do nothing and make money. You have to, like any business, you have to be involved. But the question is, are you going to be involved 5 hours a week or are you going to be involved 55 hours? That's completely different business model. Everybody who works for bookkeeping has accounting degree, but just the accounting degree would not be enough. You have to understand taxes and again, know the law. So it would be completely different business model.
So do you have a kind of a rule of thumb about the time period that businesses should be running before they look to franchise, like 3 or 5 years, or it really just depends on the situation?
So there is no right or wrong. There is no like timeline. 2 years is not enough. 5 years is too much. Every business is different. The biggest question is.
Join us as we explore trademarks, copyrights, and intellectual property to ensure the protection of your creative assets.
Welcome back to Securing Your Brand with SecureMark Legal, where we help entrepreneurs and business owners build, protect, and scale their brands. I'm Holly McFall.
And I'm Melissa Jeda. Today, we have a really inspiring guest who knows the ins and outs of franchising, understands protecting their brands, and even going to talk to us a bit about time management.
That's right. Our guest is Max Emma, a certified franchise executive with over 20 years of experience. He's built and scaled his own company, Bookkeeping, into a franchise, worked with over 100 franchise brands, and today he helps entrepreneurs find the right franchise to invest in.
His journey is incredible. He's an immigrant. He's an entrepreneur. He's overcome many hardships, from barely speaking English to climbing the corporate ladder to going out on his own and pursuing his entrepreneur dreams. He even overcame a bankruptcy. Today, he is a CEO of 3 companies, and we are excited to have him here with us today.
Max, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So starting at the beginning a little bit, you came to the U.S., you didn't speak English. What gave you that drive to adapt and jump into entrepreneurship?
Well, it didn't happen right away. I mean, first I had to learn the English, then enroll in college, get a corporate job. Then I left this job, but I understood that if you want to succeed in the US, you have to be ahead. And at that time, I figured that entrepreneurship would get me to my goals way faster. And that's why 4 years in, I gave him a 2-week notice, and I've been free from a boss since July 4th, 2002. So over 23 years. Literally, July 3rd was my last day. So I celebrate July 4th twice, as the US Independence Day and Max's Independence Day.
Wow. So what was that moment like when you decided to bet on yourself? What was that turning point?
It was scary. It was challenging, but I was young at the time. I was living with my girlfriend, who later became my wife. We didn't have any debt. We actually, funny enough, we were living first few months of my entrepreneurship trip. We were living on her teacher assistant salary, which was $10 an hour, which wasn't much at the time, but way more than it is now, until business started making money.
But you went out on your own. You started your own business. You went out as, entrepreneurs do, with this dream. And it doesn't just go straight forward. It doesn't go up and down. It doesn't go in a straight line. You had a lot of, things go on in that time period. What's it like being an entrepreneur on your own, starting out?
They say that you can only connect dots backwards. So I pretty much jumped in the water without knowing what to expect. So that was, I probably would not do that now, being older and hopefully a little bit wiser. But at the time, it seemed like a great idea. So I joined a small family business with 3 employees and grew it to 96 employees. But then, as you mentioned, we declared bankruptcy because it was a construction business and we had to personally guarantee. And they stopped building in 08, 09. It was a big recession. And that actually left us with a lot of debt. We had a ton of equipment and zero income, and we didn't have a choice but declare bankruptcy with one baby at home and one on the way. That was scary, I have to tell you. I didn't know what to expect. I got lucky, no jobs were available. Otherwise, I probably would given up and just went back to the corporate world saying, well, it didn't work for me, I'm coming back. But no jobs were available at the time, literally nothing. And I had to start a new business, and that business was more successful, and we were able to sell it later for profit.
That's actually how I became a lawyer. My husband's a general contractor and in the construction industry. And '07, '08, '09, everything just fell out from underneath us. It was like the rug got pulled. And one of us had to earn a living. So I became a lawyer.
Well, it worked out.
It's that starting over again, learning your lessons from that time and learning resilience, being able to, pivot and continue and having that resilience to run a business and then do it again. Because 'cause you're right, there were no jobs available again. We had to have that resilience to move forward.
Now I'm grateful for this time. I call it my personal MBA because I learned so much. And most important, I learned to believe in myself. And it helped. It worked out.
Learning to believe in yourself and, learning to trust yourself and having that ability to push through it's a big deal. It really is your own personal MBA.
So, Max, you've helped a lot of businesses build and consulted on franchising. What makes franchising such a powerful model for entrepreneurs in comparison to starting from scratch?
You get a blueprint that hopefully been proven by other people who's done it before. And it's way easier than you start from scratch. I always say that it's not a rocket science and you can figure it out yourself. But if, let's say, you open a pizza restaurant, you have to design kitchen the right way so five people don't, hit each other in the kitchen and it works out great. And then also, how many pies you gonna burn before you get the best recipe, the one that's gonna work, and the one that you can multiply and do 100 of the same pepperoni pizzas an hour. Okay, the franchise tells you that. That's the equipment you buy. That's the ingredient. That's how many pieces of pepperoni you put in to be profitable. They tell you everything. Okay. And then in some cases, they do marketing for you. For example, my own franchise, bookkeeping. I mean, a lot of people can start their own bookkeeping business, but we are providing bookkeeping for over 100 franchise brands in the US. So we let our franchisees to use those franchises as clients. We also provide staff. That's what a franchise is giving you: training, blueprint, and support.
So entrepreneurship does allow you to jump right into a business, allows you to jump into something that has proven to work. But does that mean it works for everyone to become a franchise owner?
No, and this is a job of franchise consultant or franchise broker to find the right industry, because a lot of the time the challenges that I see and I have to work with them, that people mix their hobbies with their passion and their career. Back to the pizza restaurant example, you can be the best cook, but being a cook and cooking the best pizza from your grandmother's recipe for your friends is different than doing 100 pies in an hour. They have to look exactly the same. And people confuse that. So, in my opinion, you can be very successful restaurant owner without knowing how to cook, and you can own a successful painting business without being able to do it yourself. You have to understand the process. You have to understand what to look for. You have to understand whom to hire. So if you promise not to tell anybody, I started bookkeeping business, but I'm not a bookkeeper. I have no idea how to do that. I'm a finance guy. So yes, I did start the business with my wife, and she had masters in accounting, but I knew that my job and my strengths is to actually go and getting clients and selling and doing the business development, because that's what I love doing. So it's totally fine. But at the same time, using bookkeeping as an example, if somebody hates numbers, then probably accounting franchise is not for you, even though you don't have to do it. But people gonna feel it when you try to explain what you do. Oh, I do accounting, and people can see the fear in your eyes. So I don't think that's going to work out.
What are some of that misconceptions then about being a franchisee owner that maybe people don't understand?
Well, first misconception is that franchisors will listen to you, but they will not let you change their brand. Okay. For example, if it's a burger franchise, they will not let you sell pizza even if your pizza is the best and you're going to have ton of your clients asking for you to add it to the menu. They can consider it and do it for the whole system, but you're probably not going to find, pizza at McDonald's ever. Okay? Never say never, but I just don't see that happening. Even though there are some stories that very successful large restaurant franchises, one of their franchisees, I forgot which one, but it's huge. It has thousands of units right now. They never were selling ice cream, and one of the franchisees decided to do it behind franchisor's back because it was like somewhere in the south, and he thought, well, I'll make more money, so he started doing it. Franchisor found out, and all the like C-level people took a trip to pretty much fire this franchisee and just tell him he cannot do it. And then he showed them the books, and that was 30 or 40% of their revenue. Okay. And so they went back, and instead of firing the guy, they added this to the menu. And I believe now it's either 25 or 30% of their total revenue. That's like 40, 50 years later.
Normally, when you're the franchisee, the franchisor is controlling how you're doing this, how your presentation is, how you look, how your products are.
Absolutely. And what's closer to you, ladies' heart, how your brand looks. Because I had a potential franchisee for bookkeeping, and they wanted to buy the brand. It was a CPA firm, but their corporate color was, I believe, blue and yellow. I don't remember now. And they wanted to change our logos to blue and yellow to match the logos of their CPA firm. I'm like, that's not happening because our logos are red, white, and black. And, it's trademarked. We have all the processes. This is all the website, all the collateral. It's in these three colors. So that's not happening. And so the deal didn't go through. But sometimes franchisor has to say no because they have to control the brand. They have to protect the brand, and they have to protect their franchisees.
Yeah, the franchisees need to understand that the rules are there for a reason, right? And they may not understand the reasoning behind everything, but they have to respect and follow the rules that the franchisor has laid out.
Hmm. Absolutely. And even if it seems to them that it's wrong and the franchisor doesn't know what they're doing, it's possible. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. But again, you have to, stay the course, and you have to just continue doing what you're doing. I mean, bookkeeping, until I'm stop owning it, will not be offering taxes. Even though I have some franchisees asking me why we're not doing it, we can have extra revenue. And sometimes I explain, and sometimes I'm just, well, call me dictator, but we're just not doing it. And that makes us actually unique because right now we are the only bookkeeping franchise in the United States. There are quite a few franchises that do taxes, CFO, and bookkeeping. And again, that's not for everybody because if you want to do taxes, you have to go the CPA route or you have to learn. And the laws are changing every year, and there are state laws, federal laws. Bookkeeping, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's way easier. Debit is always on the left, credit is always on the right. That's the only thing you need to know.
Part of that protecting the brand, the look, the consistency, the trust that comes with that. And you know that if you go into one of your bookkeeping's franchisee, it's going to be the same, it's going to be run the same, it's going to have that same reputation and the same consistency and trust as any other franchise out there. You're getting that same product over and over again.
So, Max, we spoke before this episode that referrals also come into play on this topic. So, accountants often refer clients to you for bookkeeping. Now, if you were doing tax preparation as well, conflicting with what they do, they would be more hesitant to send you business in fear of losing their tax preparation clients, correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why we are not doing it. Plus, we would have to hire different people to do the work because, everybody who works for bookkeeping has accounting degree, But just the accounting degree would not be enough. You have to understand taxes and again know the law. So would be completely different business model.
Keeping this consistency, keeping this brand consistency is important. And one of those things that helps keeps this brand consistency all the way through and builds this foundation is a trademark. You have trademark bookkeeping.
Absolutely. And we always wanted to come up with the name that was catchy. And we were playing with words with my co founder, who was my wife at the time. We were sitting at the bar and literally spitting the words out. And then the bookkeeping came up. We're still arguing if it was me or her, and that doesn't matter. But it was literally just, talking and discussing. And then we came up with bookkeeping. We called the attorney, and this attorney said, "You will never get the approval because it's just you're only changing one letter, never gonna happen." And we're like, okay. And then something in me said, "What do I lose to try?" And I called a different attorney. We applied and we got the approval from first try. The government didn't say anything. That's how we came up with bookkeeping. I'm so happy that we were persistent and just, made it happen. Otherwise, we would listen to this particular attorney. We would just, it would be called differently now.
And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's worth the risk to go ahead and take that try, even when a mark is or maybe could be, descriptive or something along those lines where there's enough creativity to make it unique from everything that stands out there. That trademark really does help build that foundation, protect that brand, stop it from imposters from going forward. And you have a name that is now known and was able to franchise. Going back into this like franchising and, individuals who want to buy a franchise, what is some of the advice you give to people for the first time when they're starting to look at the possibility of buying a franchise?
Well, first of all, be open minded. Don't come in saying, "I want to own a pizza restaurant." If you like restaurants, see what else is available. Let franchise consultants like myself to show you what's hot right now. Okay. What are the new trends? And we do a lot of research. Just yesterday I came back from a franchise conference where I met 15 or 20 new brands, new for me, and learned about their business models. One of them was like a sushi franchise, and it's like fresh fish, a franchise that is a kiosk model. And I looked at their numbers, and it looks really, really impressive, but I had no idea it exists. So, yes, you can go and do the research yourself, but how long is it going to take? So that's my job. It's not necessarily to tell you about franchising if you're a candidate. My job is to tell you what's available. See what you like, where you see yourself in 3 years, how many hours you like to work. Do you want to be involved in the business or do you want to have a passive income and have a manager? I mean, there is no franchise that you absolutely do nothing and make money. You have to, like any business, you have to be involved. But the question is, are you going to be involved 5 hours a week or are you going to be involved 55 hours a week? That's completely different business model. I want to remind people that my services are completely free. I only get paid if and when someone buys a business, we get a commission from franchisor. If somebody doesn't buy a business, then I just pay it forward. Hopefully, I help somebody to make a decision, the right decision in the future.
Oh, that's good to know. So kind of no risk to bring you in to help out to try to see if franchising is right for you or not.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I know some consultants do charge a retainer. I never do that. I have a conversation, but also I want to know more about the candidate. If, for example, somebody doesn't have the money to buy a franchise and doesn't have a credit history to get a loan, which most of the franchises are covered by SBA, and you can get a loan from the U.S. government or private institutions. But if you cannot do that, then maybe at this point, franchising is not for you.
Max, let's flip the coin here for a minute. What about our business owners that already are running their own business that they started and they're considering franchising their company? What makes a business franchisable?
Something that you can scale and something that you can repeat. Okay. If, for example, the business is all about one person, you probably cannot scale it. Okay. Because you have to make sure that the person with average skills would be able to repeat your success. And this is a very interesting model. So not all businesses are franchisable, okay? And then also people have to take into consideration the competition. Like for example, if somebody comes in today and they want to franchise a hair salon, I probably would not take them on because I'll show them 10 successful brands out there that are, some of them have 4,000 units. I mean, you're competing with monsters in a good way. They have huge marketing budget. I mean, what is the success? What's the probability of your success? Okay, so is it doable? Absolutely. But your concept has to be completely different if you really want to do it. I had one lady calling me, she wanted to franchise her beauty salon, but that was a little bit unique because it was all for women, and there were three or four different concepts in one. I liked it. We started working, but turned out she didn't have enough capital to move forward. And I knew that she would run out of money because franchising is expensive, especially in the beginning, probably in 6 to 8 months. And I showed her the number. I said, "Are you going to be able to find more money in 8 months?" And she said, "Not at this time." And I'm like, "Well, then maybe it doesn't make sense for you to do it right now. Just see if you can get partners because this would be the worst thing. You go in, you're all the way in, you see the results on the horizon, and then boom, you run out of money."
So, do you have a kind of a rule of thumb about the time period that businesses should be running before they look to franchise, like 3 or 5 years, or it really just depends on the situation?
It really depends. I mean, bookkeeping was running for 10 years before we decided to franchise. But it's not that we were not ready for franchise. I just never thought about franchising. It's literally just came into my head working with other franchisors. And I was thinking, well, when I grow up, I want to be like one of them. And I guess I've grown up. So
You've made it.
But what was that decision? What was that you're in business for 10 years, you're working with other franchisors. What was that decision to, "Okay, we're gonna try to franchise this"? Is this something you were working towards or, like, all of a sudden you're like, "Okay, wait a minute. Let's see if this is possible."
it was, I literally woke up with this idea. It's true story. And then I was visiting my office in Philippines, and I woke up in the morning with this idea. I guess I had a dream. I went to the coffee shop downstairs in the hotel, and I wrote the original business plan on a napkin. So I just started writing for maybe 2, 3 hours. And then, of course, we done a way better job than the napkin later on, but that was the original version. But I think what prompted it is that we started losing the local feel, because when bookkeeping started, we started in San Diego. I was doing a lot of networking, meeting a lot of CPAs, meeting a lot of referral partners, and at some point people in my circles started saying, well, I finished my bookkeeping for the year. So they actually started using the word bookkeeping instead of the word bookkeeping. I'm like, wow, that's working. And when we started working with franchise brands, we pretty much started getting clients in all 50 states and started losing this feel, this, when you meet people, when you actually take them to lunch, you go to have coffee, go to have drinks, because I was busy doing, meeting franchise brands and signing the contracts with them. And the thinking was, what if we do the local bookkeeping business with the national support and national ambitions. And that's how bookkeeping franchise started. So, because that's what was missing at the time. And so that's why for me, it didn't matter if it was 10 years, 5 years, or 15 years. This was just, when the idea came to mind. But there are some businesses that only been in business for a year or two, and then they're jumping in and starting franchising. So there is no right or wrong. There is no like timeline. 2 years is not enough. 5 years is too much. Every business is different. The biggest question is your business franchisable? Is this a good idea? Because, some people, I always ask them, how do you differentiate yourself from your competition? Why people would go with you? Because I think if I'm not mistaken, the in-home care for seniors, there are 68 or 78 franchises available right now in this space.
Wow.
Mhm. Wow, that's a
So
lot.
yeah, don't fact check me, but that's what I've heard at the conference. But even if it's 54 of them, there are a
Yep,
lot. So
still a lot.
when you come, it's I know for a fact it's a lot. And right now, the biggest decision for people is the territory available because all the big guys who've been doing it for years, all the territories, the prime territories are sold. So that's why they're going to the younger franchises. But then my question is, younger franchise, what is the support model? How is it going to work? Why do you need that versus having your own location? Okay, I mean, I understand when it's a franchisor with 400 locations that has the system, the support, that makes sense. But if it's a younger franchise, what are they going to give you? So there are a lot of questions, and most of the time there are more questions than answers. But the science is to ask the right questions. I mean, that's why people come to consultants, not to necessarily tell you, okay, that's available, that's not available. I mean, you can Google it, it's going to take you a while, but you can figure it out yourself. But it just, you don't know what you don't know. So our job is to help you to ask the right questions, get the right answers, and then make the right decisions.
People that are looking to franchise, when you were, looking to franchise bookkeeping, what were some of those challenges that you didn't expect that came up? Besides finances, what were some of those challenges that came up when someone is looking to go ahead and start franchising their company?
Well, I was 100% sure that I know everything about this business, not me personally, but my team and myself and my co founders, so we can do it ourselves. And so, a huge part of any franchise is brand manual. That's what people are paying you for, really. This is the secret sauce. This is your Bible. This is the instruction step by step how to run a successful business from opening the business to doing the marketing to everything. And I'm like, why do I need anybody? We run a business, we're making money, so we're just gonna do it ourselves. And so we came up with the brand manual, and it was 25 or 30 pages. I'm like, people not gonna pay us the money for that. So we did hire the consulting firm who that's all they do. They do brand manuals. They interviewed the entire team. They spent 1 or 2 months doing the research. And then we got brand manual that is now over 600 pages. So now this is the product that I'm proud to show to my franchisees. Now I understand that this is step by step instruction. So to answer your question is understanding that you don't know what you don't know and actually hire the right people. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it takes time, but it's totally worth it. At the same time, I paid for the marketing plan, which was done prior COVID, and then COVID hit, and everything changed. So the marketing plan for bookkeeping, the original one that was written, was complete waste of money. It didn't seem like a waste of money at the time, but we couldn't use most of it because COVID changed the whole market for selling franchises.
So that is a whole segment in changing not only the way you're currently running your company, you're looking at how others are going to be running a company and what they can do, what their process is going to be, and how they're supposed to be running it. You're now the CEO of 3 companies with a lot of employees in multiple countries. How has your style of leadership, as you've evolved and scaled, changed?
Well, that was probably the biggest challenge for me is to stop micromanaging and start delegating. Because for me, it was so hard to do it. And I was wearing a lot of hats, and there is no way I would be able to open the franchise brokerage on top of running a bookkeeping company and a bookkeeping franchise if I would not start delegating. So when I finally said I'm doing it, it changed my life. Because to give you an example, even 5 years ago, I was doing all the proposals for bookkeeping myself. And I was like, well, I'll do it at night while watching TV. I'm watching a show, and then I'll get a couple proposals done. It's not a big deal. It's copy and paste. I already know what the number is going to be. And then I realized I had no idea what the show was about that I was allegedly watching. And I was very slow. It would take me, an hour to do it versus it usually would take 10 to 15 minutes. But now when I started delegating, I don't have to worry about it. I just give the team the numbers, I give them the suggestion, and then it gets done. And then they follow up, and then they get the agreement and have a DocuSign. And so it just freed me up hours a week. Okay. And that's just one of the tasks. And that happens in all of my businesses. I have teams in all three of them. Ultimately, people still gonna talk to me, but other members of the team will do the research, talk to you, see what you're interested in, prepare, send me the information. So when I talk to someone, whether they're looking for bookkeeping or they're looking to buy a bookkeeping franchise, or they just deciding if franchising is right for them or not, I already have all this information. So our conversation is way better. We are talking about particular subject versus just starting from scratch.
It's a lot. And it's a lot for entrepreneurs because entrepreneurs are we are serial micromanagers. We are in the business, we're doing it every day. We are and carry everything on our plate. So it's hard to learn to delegate and empower other people to do tasks that you know you could do the best, but empower others to do that task. It's a definite change in your mindset and how you manage.
What changed it for me is joining the coaching organization, and they just pretty much just change the way I'm thinking. And I talk to other entrepreneurs, and they're like, well, my life changed when I hired a personal assistant. My life changed when I hired the executive assistant. I'm like, you know what? If people are doing it and they're successful, maybe I should do that. So, doing this was the first step to my own freedom, is to actually, having somebody to do the admin tasks that I was doing by myself before.
So, Max, for the entrepreneurs listening who just feel stuck, what advice would you give them about whether to expand, franchise, or pivot?
Talk to people, talk to several people, ask for their opinion, then make the decision yourself, because obviously they cannot get into your head and become you. But listen what other people done, and then maybe ask them, what mistakes did you make? Because trust me, I've made a lot of mistakes. And, back in the Soviet Union, they were saying the difference between wise man and smart man, that smart man is learning from his own mistakes and wise man learning from somebody else's mistakes. So be a wise man, learn from somebody else's mistakes.
Yeah.
That's
Avoid making them yourself, right? Yeah.
on that, if you could go back and look at your younger self and give yourself one piece of entrepreneur advice, what would that be?
Jump into this sooner. Probably not even going to the corporate world. That would give me extra 4 years. I probably would even consider doing it while I was in college. I mean, not in a big scale, but you could start sooner. And now the people going into business, the age of them is changing, because before there was a misconception that you have to pay your dues, you have to work for so many years for somebody, and then only then you're ready to open your own business. Now, I have a lot of people who recently graduated colleges who are looking to buy a business, and some businesses would be great for them. For example, a painting franchise. Who said that you have to be, have 30 years of corporate experience to do that? If you're young and ambition and you're ready to work long hours, because ultimately it's not about how to paint, you're hiring the right people doing it. It's about getting the clients. Okay. Don't buy yourself a job, because if you are buying yourself a job and you are the one who's going to be painting, doing the accounting, doing the marketing, don't, because it's a very expensive job. As a matter of fact, some franchisors specifically say you cannot work on the field. You have to work in the office. You have to work on the business, not in the business.
That's interesting. That was not what I was expecting you to say, but that makes a lot of sense. And you can definitely see that demographic change. Holly and I see it in our entrepreneurs, our clients that come to us and they're starting a business instead of going into the corporate world or even going all the way through college. They're, working right out of it and doing a startup or buying a business and working through that process at a much younger age.
Absolutely. And look, education is great, but I don't think it's for everybody. So you have to understand, why do you want to go to college? I mean, are you going to learn a specific trade? Like, you cannot skip university if you want to become a doctor. But if you have business mind, at least I hope so. But
I was gonna say, I hope they don't skip, going to medical school.
but if you're entrepreneur in heart, and you can just, educate yourself. There are a lot of courses right now on accounting, on marketing, on management, and maybe you can start while you're young, maybe while you're still living with your parents, because your overhead is low, you don't have a lot of debt. Start now, and if this particular business doesn't work, pivot and start another one. I mean, what I've been seeing is that, look, let's be honest, a lot of parents are supporting their kids through colleges. And as the last parting gift, they give them the money to buy a franchise after they graduate from college. So saying, okay, we're going to help you out. We might go as partners with you. And then eventually you'll learn. And then you open different location. You open a different location and we'll help you. I mean, that gets the families closer. That's number one, which is very, very important. And number two, it gets people started at the age of 22 or 23 versus waiting till they're 40.
All right, Max, this has been fantastic. Where can our listeners connect with you or learn more about bookkeeping and your work in franchising?
So instead of giving you 3 websites and 3 phone numbers, the easiest way is to go and find me online at thefranchisewithmax.com. So it's like my digital card, franchisewithmax.com. And then you choose, why do you want to talk to me? Is it about bookkeeping for your business? Is it bookkeeping franchise, or is it helping you to find the right franchise? And then you'll get connected to certain members of my team. And eventually, I promise, I'll talk to everyone. So again, it's franchisewithmax.com.
Excellent.
Max, thank you so much for joining us. I know I have learned a lot. I know a lot about business and entrepreneurship, startups and franchises, and I have learned a lot from you today. So I really appreciate you telling us your story, showing us resistance, talking about different strategies, and sometimes just jumping right in.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. It was great.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to Securing Your Brand with SecureMark Legal. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow entrepreneur.
Until next time, keep securing your brand, protecting what you have done, and scale.
Join us as we explore trademarks, copyrights, and intellectual property to ensure the protection of your creative assets. While we are lawyers, we are not your lawyers. So nothing contained in this podcast creates an attorney-client relationship or constitutes legal advice. The views and opinions of guests on our show are not necessarily those of SecureMark Legal and are provided for informational and educational purposes only. This presentation is protected by U.S. and international copyright laws. Reproduction and distribution of the presentation in whole or in part without written permission of SecureMark Legal is prohibited.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.